Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and welcome to TGIF. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Sorry we're late, but I got tied up. I had a very early doctor's appointment, and they were running really late, and then we had a few other technical difficulties. So we apologize, but we had to do today's show after the catastrophic debate of last night. And it's kind of like I watched that debate, and well, I didn't watch it really. I watched highlights of it because I knew I'd be sticking pins in my eyes. But it was horrifying to watch somebody who's supposed to be the leader of the free world. And you know the thing about it is this shows how corrupt the mainstream media is. They've been covering this guy up for years. Since he's been in office, they got to walk with a crowd around him to the helicopter or to the plane. I mean, I feel, in a way, you feel kind of bad. He should be in a long term care facility. And he's a leader of the free world. He forgot that he killed 13 people in Afghanistan in a withdrawal. He was staring blankly into space. And but people got to see this for the first time on actual live TV because they never show those bumbles and stumbles. They edit everything out and they don't show it on the mainstream media. It's scary. It's scary. You know that he's not leading this country. He can't find his way out of a phone booth. I mean, it was horrifying last night. And then they started spinning already. I mean, they're already trying to deflect and divert, but they're in a full blown panic in the Democratic Party. Look, I'm sorry. I don't care if you hate Trump. He can form a cognitive sentence. I mean, they know their toast. Even Politico, a left wing, super left wing, said the headline was Biden is toast. It's almost, having a guy like that that's so unqualified to be president, he just doesn't have it. I'm sorry. He just doesn't have the goods. You can't have somebody there that's fundamentally impaired. It's kind of like having Paul Coogan run a city of Fall River. A guy that couldn't make principal is running a city. He couldn't run a school. So here's your analogy for today. And with that, CJ, I'll turn it back to you.
What's interesting is that even mainstream media, ABC, CBS, NBC, they're broadcasting highlights of him being fumbled, not knowing what he's saying. And I liked it when Trump turned around and says, I don't know what he said. I don't think he knows what he said. And he kept looking at his watch, looking at his watch, looking at his watch, looking at his watch, looking at his watch. He did that when the bodies came back, and he was standing on the tarmac, and he was looking at his watch, looking at his watch. People thought it was a way to get out of there, or maybe he had another appointment. But I'm wondering if he didn't have a smart watch on, and people were texting him the answers. I can't prove that. It's a supposition, but I'm wondering if they sent that to him. They were sending answers to him. The other thing is, I watched an interview with several people, and I've watched several interviews with several people, probably about 15, 20 people altogether total. And they all said the same thing. I cannot vote for Joe Biden as president. I don't like the other guy, but I can't vote for Biden. I'm going to see if I can find a third party candidate. And, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And of course, Biden had to jump to you're a felon, you're a felon. We know he's a felon. We know he's a felon, and we know that looks like that it was a setup, that it was a way to get him off the ballot. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how it works out. But again, the Democratic Party knows. Now, people are wondering if at the Democratic convention, if they're going to put somebody else up in a run for president. I don't think they can, but the Democratic rules are very lax in addressing these things. So it would be interesting to see. I personally can't see me voting for somebody that I should be changing his diaper. I just can't see doing that.
CJ. Okay. No, look, but you're right. Look, he's been incapable since he got in.
Right.
That's the irony of the thing. People are going like that. I love it when they act surprised. It's like, oh my Lord, it's so surprising. It's not a surprise. Joe Biden has been in politics for 50 years. And for 50 years, he's been known as one of the dumbest senators that ever occupied space in Washington, D.C. He tried to get the presidential nomination 4 times before. He was caught plagiarizing, lying, cheated his way through law school. And now everybody's surprised. It's like when you see on TV, the guy next door kills 65 people and everybody goes, oh, he seemed like a really nice guy. Well, he wasn't. This shouldn't be surprising. And the problem is, he was an incompetent when he had a functional brain, or at least his version of a functional brain. And, third party candidate, Kennedy, I mean, who knows? He's going to be even more of an influence in this election. I don't think he'll get enough to get elected. But listen, I know some people say I'm not going to vote for either of them. Well, that's your prerogative. But I got to vote for the lesser of two evils. And I don't care. I don't particularly care for a lot of things Trump does. But a lot of people don't care about a lot of things that I do, or you do, CJ, or a lot of people other do. But if the guy can do the job, that shouldn't, you're not becoming his friend. You're just saying we got to put somebody in there who can run the country. And frankly, the numbers say that Trump ran the country well. We had a 1.4% inflation rate. We had no wars, contrary to what.
You kind of froze, Chip. One of the things that I think is interesting is the fact that they have said
the left wing is a jamming us again. They got some kind of space. They're shooting down some space things to jam us. But listen, like I said, a lot of people don't like a lot of things I do, but they know who to come to when they want to know about numbers about healthcare, don't they?
Yes,
they
they
know
do.
Who to come to when they need numbers about retirement. They know who to come to when they got a problem that I can fix. They don't give a shit about the fact that they don't like me or don't like some of the things that I do or say. When I go to a doctor, I don't care if I like them or not. I want the doctor that can fix me. And that's the problem in this country. Isn't it amazing that probably the most important job in the world, the president of the United States, is not based on objectivity? You go to a mechanic, you go, I want a guy that can fix my car. You go to an electrician, you go to a guy that can fix your wiring. You're going to vote for the president of the United States. You got to like him. No, you don't. You don't have to like him. You hire him to do a job. They bounced all the liberals in Europe out. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you gotta do what you gotta do. And I mean, that was horrifying last night. I mean, if this is what he did after being isolated for a week, and I'm with you, CG. I think maybe he was getting texts on a smartwatch. But I don't know why they ever thought the people who put him in a room and prepared him and have seen the way he has been late, for his entire presidency. And it's been shielded from the public by the mainstream media. They won't show these things. We've seen him fumble and bumble and make up words that, well, what was he? The preamble, the Constitution, the Declaration. He started and he forgot it, and all the other stuff. I mean, this is the problem. That's one of the first things they do when the fascists take over any government. They control the media. They control the narrative. They suppress the facts and the truth. They hid him for 3.5 years. They shielded him. They had people surround him walking to the plane so you wouldn't see him fall down again. I even saw a meme, which I thought was hysterical. They had his press secretary, I guess, with some AI voice, when he was falling down, walking up the stairs of Air Force One. They had the meme saying, he did not fall down. He was picking up quarters that he found on the steps. And it was hilarious, but it's sad. But somebody made a very astute observation the other night. We shouldn't have another debate. We should not show the rest of the world, especially our enemies, the weakness of our president. They know he can't run a country. That's only gonna give them the impetus to do something between now and November. In the event that Trump gets elected, they're not going to get away with it. So he shouldn't be debating, showing how pathetic he is. They hid the things of him being, dragged back by the prime minister of Italy, being walked off the stage by Obama. And when they did leak him on some media outlets, they tried to spin it. No, that's not true. They're just good friends and blah, blah, blah. Well, everybody saw it. You can't hide it anymore. It was on TV for 90 minutes. You saw a guy that's, you feel bad for the guy in a way, but for God's sakes, you can't let him be the president. He can't. He has no idea what he's doing. It's sad. You don't want to see anybody. That's a very, very heinous and debilitating disease. I have friends who've had their parents have that. It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, but with that being said, you've got to sympathize with the fact that obviously that's irreversible, at least so far. Medical science hasn't figured out a way to do anything about it. But I mean, you power hungry madmen in the Democratic Party, that want to prop him up like Weekend at Bernie's so you can be the puppeteers and maintain power. You've destroyed the country. Nobody could have ever believed any human being could destroy a country as powerful as the United States in 3.5 years, but he did, internationally and nationally. And then they lie about everything. They all lie. Politicians all lie. But I mean, there's no inflation. The inflation's good. My border was closed. You had less, we got less people than you got coming across the border. I mean, that's an absurdity. I mean, they don't fact check him because most of the time they can't understand what he's saying. But that was, I think, the end of this. There's all kinds of speculation. Are they going to replace him at the convention? Some people are saying it's too late. They just got to go with them and try to just divert everybody's attention away from the fact that you're going to put in somebody who can't do the job by calling the other guy names and calling him a felon. He is a felon. He is a felon for now. But everybody with a functional brain knows that conviction is going to be turned over. Everybody knows it. He is not going to be a felon anymore because, that manure about dictatorship and everything else. Listen, nobody's turning America into a dictatorship if Americans are Americans. If anybody's turning it into a dictatorship, it's Biden. He ignores Supreme Court decisions. He ignores the law. He's kind of doing what Coogan does. Just whatever the hell he wants to do. He throws an 80-year-old woman in prison for praying outside an abortion clinic. But he lets felons run in the street. Rampage stores. They're locking everything up at CVS now. I was in Walgreens the other day. They had to page an employee to get deodorant to open it. I mean, this country's a mess. We got people defacing property, holding hostages. They didn't prosecute one of them. Why? Politically. You can say kill the Jews. You can hold hostages. You can destroy a college. Not one arrest. Because the Democratic Party wants the Muslim vote. That's not America. They have a right to protest peacefully. They don't have a right to break into stores and call it whatever euphemism they want, reparations or anything else. We're seeing the unraveling of our country. It'll never be a dictatorship if they allow Americans to run America, and that's what we got to do at the election. Because I'll tell you what, if Trump wants to stay in, the Americans will rise up. And the military, will have a coup. This will ultimately become a third world country. But nobody's being a dictator. If anybody's dictatorial, it's the Democratic Party. If you say the wrong thing, they investigate you. Remember, even with their own, Democrats eat their own. Remember what happened when the mayor of New York condemned Biden for his border policy. Immediately, the next day, he was being investigated by the DOJ. You notice the mayor of New York doesn't say that anymore? He's got his mouth shut so tight and his butt puckered up so tight he won't utter a word. That's dictatorship. You say a word against them, they walk you out of your house in shackles. They have the FBI SWAT team go in and lock you up in the middle of the night. But if you're one of them, anything you want. Anything you want. And that's the problem. But one good thing, they got that idiot that pulled the fire alarm Bowman out of there on the stage, bouncing up and down, using the F word, the MF word, and all the other words, rapping his way to it. But they dumped him. They ditched him. And they didn't replace him with a conservative either. The guy they elected was a Democrat. And I mean, I guess you would call him a moderate by today's standards, but he's a liberal. But these people are nuts. They're the terrorists. And they have always been the terrorists. Learn from history. Who was for slavery during the Civil War? The Democratic Party.
And they fought to keep it.
They fought to keep it. That's right. And who was Robert Byrd, who was a grand wizard in the KKK? Who was his best friend? Joe Biden. Who said we should not have integration in schools because we don't want to turn our schools into racial jungles? Joe Biden.
Sounds almost like Paul Coogan. The reason why our school system is doing so poorly.
That's right. and yet now revisionist history. Joe Biden, I was in a black church. I marched. I went to Free Mandela. Everything that guy says is demented. It's either a flat out lie or he's so feeble that he just makes up stuff. He's delusionary.
Well,
like
and I told you this morning.
Cannibals.
I told you this morning. Reed turned around and said, if Trump thinks he's going to win the presidency by lying, he's got another thing coming. Well, guess what? It wasn't Trump who was lying. It was Biden. It was Biden. And that's the funny part about it. And I'm not saying because I either support or don't support the candidate. I'm saying what I'm seeing. And I'm saying what mainstream media is actually saying now. And that's the scary part about it. Because for years, as you said, Chip, they covered up everything for him. They covered up everything. Now, all of a sudden, he's no longer the golden child. Now they're going to expose it. And people actually liked last night's debate in the sense that they felt it was fair. The way it was run, the rules, no audience, nothing. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I was surprised at was Trump didn't lose it. He stayed on point. Even after being called a felon because because Biden had nothing better to say, he stayed on point. Takes a lot to hold back that emotion, but he did it. And he did it well.
Look, they are so desperate, CJ. They're trying everything. It's now X, Twitter. I got the app. I don't even know how to use the thing. I'm serious. I don't know how to use it. I got Twitter and the other thing on there. What's the other one? I got to look at it.
Instagram.
What's the other idiotic app I got on there? Instagram. I don't know how to use either of them, but they're on my phone. But I get all these things from X, the former Twitter. Last night, right after the debate, you know what the Biden people they're paying to be propagandists and influence people who live on Twitter and Instagram, because I don't. They actually said that Biden wins. Then the next one was, Trump lied about everything. No, January 6th, they distorted that, but that's not a thing. But the best one was right after that. You know what the next one was? Somebody posted that Donald Trump passed out during an interview on Newsmax. He fainted. I mean, these people are batshit crazy with the stuff they're posting. I mean, this is nuts. And yeah. That's right. That's Joe Biden. You're right. He's always been a racist. He's always been a racist, but now they manipulate the narrative to make these people into something they're not. That's what politicians are. John Kennedy said a long time ago, when you will be judged when you leave public service, and the public will judge, history will judge you whether you're a politician, and he used that in a derogatory sense, or you were a statesman who worked for the people. And that's the thing. Joe Biden has never been anything more than a dumb political tick, and a racist dumb political tick. But now they made him into the champion of everybody. They're all, and they distort history. It's crazy, the stuff now. They're going to say everything was, they lied, everything. Look, it doesn't make any difference. We got to have a president. So you want a mechanic that can't fix your car. You want an electrician that can't fix your wiring. You want a doctor that will kill you and everybody he works on. Well, vote for Joe Biden. I'm not, it's your prerogative. Vote for somebody that stood up there staring like this. That's what you do. Blankly into space, looking at his watch. You're right. See, there had to be texts on there, but I don't know how in God's green acre they could have ever thought that he could actually read that off his watch. He can't read a teleprompter the size of a jumbotron. I don't know how they thought he was going to read from a watch if there was a text on that watch. But this is scary. I mean, this is not, we're trying to make this a little light, a little satirical, but this is the president of our country. What do you think, like they said, what do you think that Putin was probably pissing his pants watching this last night? Xi Jinping, Bill Jong-un, or whatever his name is in North Korea. They're all watching this last night. They were hysterical, going, look at this bozo. He can't chew gum and walk at the same time. These people are dangerous people. They are not our friends. Iran. You think the mullahs in Iran were having a good old time watching this, saying, look at this. And he's contributing, he's dragging his own country down. And you don't think they're emboldened by seeing somebody like this? And they want him to win again. And I don't know how anybody could elect him for 4 years anyway. I don't know if he can make this term. I don't know if he can finish this term out. It is totally, to me, inconceivable now, because this is truly going to become Weekend at Bernie's. And if you didn't see that movie, get on Netflix and watch it. It's when they drag the corpse around. So I don't know, CJ. It was, now we'll see what the Democratic Party is doing, because they're in total state of chaos. Half the party wants to get rid of them. The other half of the party says we're stuck with them. But then again, I don't know what we're going to do. And, they're running around and their hair's on fire because they've been exposed. They've been exposed. They got a candidate that's incapable of functioning, and they waited too long. We've got 129 or 130 days left till the election.
Yeah.
We don't have a hell of a lot of time. Who knows? God knows what's going to happen. It's going to be probably fun to watch. We have to see, what are they going to do? Resurrect Hillary again? Who knows? Newsom's going to get more hair gel. He's going to come out of the locker room ready to go. I don't know, but the fact is that, look, we got a lot of, there's a lot of problems facing this country. And this last night showed how truly, truly corrupt politics is. When you can have somebody like this serve 3.5 years in an office, the most powerful office in the country, and cover it up, and then have the audacity to try to convince the public that he should get another 4 years. That's almost, not quite, as ridiculous as Paul Coogan telling us that we should give him a debt override and give him more of our money after they've proven they can't handle any of our money. And with that, CJ, back to you.
The one thing when Trump was in office, which is true, Putin was afraid of Trump. Many world leaders were afraid of Trump because they were afraid Trump was crazy enough to push the button. They honestly believed that he was crazy enough to push the button. And had they pushed the button, we'd be in a different world today. But you'll notice we had peace throughout the world, except for the Mideast, which I don't think we're ever going to get peace in the Mideast. But, religion does that to people. But, I can remember, and you can remember this, Ollie North. Remember Ollie North? When he was doing business with the Iranians to support the Contras, because the Contras got found to be selling some smack, and the Congress stopped funding the Contras. So to keep that, he found a way to do it by selling weapons to Iran, which was friendly to the United States at the time. But things change. Now the Iranians are trying to kill us again. We can't win.
No, but you're right. But listen, I'm glad you brought that point up. They thought he was crazy. But I'll tell you what. You can say a lot of things about Donald Trump, but he's as crazy as a fox.
That's right.
Because people don't pay attention to the way people govern. Joe Biden just lets thousands of people come in, destroys the economy, does whatever he's told by his handlers. You don't get to be Donald Trump. You don't get to be a billionaire by being stupid. You notice the way that he handled his presidency. People think he's crazy, but he's crazy like a fox. He didn't get Mexico to comply by saying, "I'm going to bomb you. I'm a dictator. I'm going to go send in the army and wipe out your country." He's smooth. People meet with him. They go, oh, he told the president of Mexico, listen, you yo-yo, you don't do this. You don't keep those people in Mexico. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna shut your economy down. I'm gonna put so many tariffs on everything that you're not gonna have two nickels to rub together. And he did that in other countries too. The guy's a smart businessman. Oh yeah, you went bankrupt if you yeah, they all do. But they all come back. The smart ones. See, that's the problem with being really, really ultra successful. You have to be tough-minded. You have to not give a crap about what people think of you. You're going to do what it takes to get it done. And most people like that fall in the category where everybody that knows them either hates them or loves them. People who get the job done are always like that. That's why Joe Biden could never do this job. Anybody that wants to be liked by everybody will not be liked by anybody because they're malleable piles of putty who don't have the cojones to do what it takes to get a job done. Leaders, by definition, are people who can make the hard decisions, who can take the criticism. As Teddy Roosevelt said in his great speech, The Man in the Arena, the credit does not belong to the critic. It belongs to the man in the arena who dares greatly, fails, and keeps going. And at the end, he said, because that's what Biden's among, and all these people that need to have mob mentality and be dictatorial. There shall never be counted among those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Champions and leaders have the same mentality. They're not afraid to fail. They will dare greatly. I remember what Larry Bird said once after a Celtic game. And he missed a shot at the end of the game. And he said, Larry, you missed that shot? He said, yep, I did. And he said, well, is that going to make you a little hesitant the next time you're in that situation? And Bird looked him in the eye and said, no. If we're at the last second of the game and we need to get that basket, I want the ball. I'm not going to run away from it. I'm not going to hope they give it to somebody else. I want it. Because I know I can make more than I miss. And Larry Bird was one of the greatest players in the world. But that's the mentality of winners. That's why a lot of people don't like Trump. Because he was in a cutthroat world of finance. You win by being tough and doing what you got to do. But see, politicians like to placate everybody. But what do they do while your back's turned? They rape and pillage you. Just look at Coogan, Mr. Nice Guy. Never saw money he couldn't spend and wants more of it. Has destroyed this city. He's a nice guy, they say, but he's not really a nice guy. See, people who have enough self-confidence to be leaders have enough self-confidence not to try to make everybody like them. You like them, you like them. You don't like them, you don't like them. And this is the problem. And this is what, Americans, I think, maybe saw the light last night. They covered up Joe's 50-year record of being exactly the opposite of the Joe Biden who they elected president. And they're still trying to run that con on everybody. But it's not going to work after last night. I think, it's going to be a very interesting 130 days. I can't wait to see some of the spin that comes out of this, because you and I, CJ, like to watch how people try to spin this. And I think we're going to see some stuff that maybe will break new ground in ridiculousness.
I think so too.
With some of the stuff that they come out with.
You silenced yourself. There you go. You silenced yourself.
They may even accuse Trump of being an alien. That might be a good one. So I don't know, CJ. What do you think they're going to pull? I want to hear I want a prognostication of what the Dems are going to do.
I can't wait to see the convention meeting. I really can't, because I want to see what's going to happen there. Because again, their rules are so lax and so flexible, they can do just about anything. And there is a group of people who are Democrats who believe that the party may decide somebody else is going to have to run, like maybe Kamala Harris. Maybe you don't know. I know, another big headache. But wouldn't electing Biden be that same headache? And remember, what happened last night in that debate proved that Joe Biden does not run this country. You're looking at, and I think you and I said this earlier, you're looking at the Clintons and the Obamas. They run this country right now. They're just doing it through a puppet. An idiot puppet, a puppet who doesn't have a mind of his own, but a puppet. And I think that's what happens. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think we're going to see that the Obamas and the Clintons are going to come out and push for somebody else to be on the ballot.
Well, let's let some of our people at the next show, everybody think about this. Put on your thinking caps till Monday, and let's get a few of you guys that watch us all the time. Let's see what you think is going to happen. Are they going to pull Biden? Who are they going to replace? Look, Kamala Harris, they're floating that idea. She's the only person in the United States less popular than Joe Biden, that is thought of as less competent than Joe Biden. And the sad part about it is she is supposed to have a functional brain. And most people think she's more incompetent than Biden. So I don't know. Well, I'm interested to see. And, with these third-party candidates, it's going to be very interesting. I don't know. They talk about Gavin Newsom. They talked about Hochul. I don't know how anybody could even she scares me when I look at it. She's like I don't know. She's gone. But they talked about Kathy Hochul. They're talking about things. But like you said, I want to see what's going to happen at the convention. The convention is going to be a riot anyway. The Democratic convention is going to be attacked by the Free Palestine contingent. And now they're going in 16 different directions. Hillary, the Clintons, and the Obamas are now feuding. They're like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Because Obama wants to go in a different direction than Clinton, because Clinton wants Hillary to get back into this thing. She's never going to let go of the fact that she wanted to be president. So and that party is in total chaos. I'd like to see some of the opinions on what they think they could do, because I'll tell you what, there's so many possibilities. It's incredible. Like some people are saying it's absolutely too late to replace him. You can't do it. Conspiracy theorists are saying they always wanted him to run and get elected so they could because he'd never make it through, and he'd have the first female president and the first black female president, because she could never get elected. She didn't even pull 1% in her own state when she ran for the presidency. That's how pathetic she is. The only way she could ever be president is by being the vice president when a president expires. So, but I mean, I'm just wondering what other people think. Because I'll tell you what, I got. Should they replace him? They shouldn't have never nominated him in the first place. But should they replace him? I don't know. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care because one thing the Democratic Party has is no bench. When your bench is Gavin Newsom, who destroyed California, and Hochul, who screwed up New York, if that's what you got, I don't know. Some people are still talking Michelle Obama. There are a lot of things going out there. I'd like to see what you guys think because
it would be interesting to see. And again, you're looking at a whole new world because remember, Biden couldn't make one of the primaries. He couldn't make the ballot on one of the primaries because they were too late. How could the Democratic Party be too late? Or was Joe Biden too late? Did he not say file the paperwork? I don't know. But he couldn't even make the ballot. There's a problem here. And are you going to allow a select group of people decide who's going to run for the presidency? I don't think that's acceptable. The people are supposed to say who runs for the presidency, not a committee, not a group of people who have axes to grind, not a bunch of special interest groups. Because one of the things about delegates to the Democratic National Committee, even to our state committee, it's all special interest groups. We have so many that are gay. We have so many that are black. We have so many that are Hispanic. We have so many that, I mean, it's all special interest groups. All of it. Because they all want equal representation. I don't have a problem with equal representation. But I think the Republican Party, while the Massachusetts Republican Party sucks, truly sucks, they at least elect their delegates from the people. They appear on a ballot and they get elected. In the Democratic Party, you get appointed. Hence why Paul loves it, because he appoints everybody.
Yeah, but remember one thing. That's what always fascinates me about the Democrats. They already know this, but they still don't realize that it's a fact. We don't have to. It's not just today. Remember when Bernie Sanders was the potential presidential nominee?
Yes, I do.
They told their own people in their party, we don't care if you want Bernie. You will not get Bernie because the super delegates are going to make Hillary the candidate.
That's right.
We don't care. So how can you be in a party that thinks like, let's clean the Flint out. Let's get that dirt from under our feet. You people can give us money. We beg for your money to campaign. And we want you to vote for us. But we're still going to run it the way we want. That's dictatorial. The Democratic Party has told their people on more than one occasion, we don't care who you want. Our special interest groups and our super delegates will select who they want. So their entire primary system is a sham. The only time, it's like Paul with laws. The only laws that Paul wants are the ones that work for him. The ones that don't work for him, he ignores, just like Biden. Well, the Democratic Party's like that. The only candidates that they allow Democrats to elect are the ones that they want. if they say we're going to nominate someone you don't like, they go, no, you're not. No, you're not. And they belong to that party. So I don't know. It's inexplicable, but I think that we're in for a good ride. I think we're going to end. As usual, we can see this show's running because nobody likes to talk politics more than CJ and I. So we love this stuff, and I'm gonna love the next after this debate, which was the most historic and most destructive debate in history. I think, as you said, Trump showed his true self. He can be calm when he wants to be. He can be a nutcase when he needs to be. He can be whatever it takes because that's the environment he did. That's what makes him successful. He will do whatever it will take to get what he wants. And that's what made him successful. A lot of people don't like that, but it is what it is. So it shows a character trait that I like in a leader. If I'm picking a leader, I want somebody that's going to lead. I don't want somebody that's going to sit there and make a decision by committee. If you're going to make it by committee, then it's chaos. So, I mean, that's just me. Everybody can have their own. But with that, CJ, we're in for a nice ride. I think. I can't wait to watch. I can't watch the media tonight going nuts.
Gentlemen, get ready for a bumpy ride. One last thing before we go away. Father J. Mello, who, as you are aware, has been suspended as a priest and from all priestly duties, has resigned from the Diman School Committee. But here was the kicker. Paul told him that once this matter is resolved, if you want to do something else in city government, come back and I'll appoint you. Only in Fall River. Only in Fall River. I'll tell you now, it never ends. It never ends. I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.